You ever move somewhere expecting peace and quiet, only to find yourself living under a dictator? When I bought my house in a quiet suburban neighborhood, I thought I was buying into a dream. Tree-lined streets, neighbors who waved, the promise of a community that cared. Instead, I walked right into a petty, power-drunk nightmare named Todd, our HOA president. And when Todd laughed in my face over a $500 fine, that's the moment I decided, I'm going to take you down, slowly, legally, and in a way you'll never recover from. Chapter 1, Welcome to Toddville. When I first moved in, I thought the HOA was just background noise. You pay your fees, they mow the grass, you live your life. But Todd ran the place like it was his personal kingdom. The man had a smug, permanent smirk, the kind that made you feel like he was already winning some argument you didn't know you were in. His polo shirts were always tucked in just a little too tightly, and he wore his HOA name badge like it was a crown. At first, it was small annoyances, a $200 fine for leaving my trash can out 90 seconds too long, a neighbor fined for a garden gnome that was not in compliance with neighborhood aesthetics. But Todd didn't play by his own rules. His yard? A mess of unpermitted sheds. His fence? Taller than city ordinances allowed. And the whispers? That he'd been dipping into HOA funds for years. Chapter 2. The $500 smirk. The breaking point came when I stained my fence. The approved stain wasn't in stock anywhere, so I chose the closest match I could find. Todd showed up, clipboard in hand, tapping the wood like he was inspecting evidence from a crime scene. "This isn't the approved shade," he said. I showed him the receipt, explained the shortage, even offered to restain it when the approved one came back. He smirked. Rules are rules. Then he handed me a $500 fine and walked away. Something in me snapped. This wasn't about the fence anymore. This was about a man who thought he could humiliate and bully his neighbors without consequence. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to throw a fit. I was going to dismantle him, piece by piece. Chapter 3, The Inside Man. Todd's first mistake was thinking I wouldn't fight back. His second was letting me in. At the next election, I innocently volunteered for the HOA board. Told him I wanted to get involved in the community. He grinned like a spider welcoming a fly. For 2 years, I played the role of eager newbie. Took notes, nodded, let him think I was harmless, and I watched. I saw how he bullied board members into submission, how he buried dissenters in paperwork, how he lost inconvenient documents, how votes were conveniently timed when his allies were present. And then, I stumbled onto something bigger. Chapter 4, Follow the Money. I noticed the annual HOA fees here were way higher than in nearby neighborhoods, but our pool was closed half the summer for maintenance, and the landscaping looked abandoned. As treasurer, Todd kept the books, and he guarded them like gold. One night at a meeting, I asked to see the budget. He laughed and said, "Don't worry, I've got it under control." So I filed a formal request, which by HOA law he had to fulfill. Weeks passed, excuses piled up. That's when I started talking to my neighbors. Turns out, I wasn't the only one curious. Dozens of people had requested the budget before, all ignored. One neighbor swore Todd had used HOA funds to build a new patio at his house. Another said they'd seen his kids at the closed pool all summer. That's when I knew. This wasn't incompetence. This was theft. Chapter 5. Building the case. When Todd finally coughed up the records, it was chaos. Invoices missing, payments mislabeled, and a $15,000 landscaping bill to a company that didn't exist. I dug deeper. Cross-referenced bank statements with public records. That's when I found it, the smoking gun. Todd was funneling HOA money into his personal accounts. Inflating contractor fees, pocketing the difference, and splitting it with his shady buddy who handled maintenance. I compiled everything: spreadsheets, photos, notarized neighbor statements. I had enough evidence to crush him, but I didn't rush. Number 2, I waited for the perfect moment. Chapter 6. The Coop, the annual HOA meeting, was usually a ghost town. Maybe 6 people showed up, but not this year. I spent weeks knocking on doors, telling neighbors just enough to get them curious and furious. The night of the meeting, the room was packed. Todd began like always, droning about his sacrifices for the community. I stood, calm, collected. "Can you explain these budget discrepancies, Todd?" I asked. He gave that same smug laugh. "I don't think this is the time or place." "Actually," I said, "it's the perfect time." I handed out copies of my report. The room went silent, then exploded. People shouted. Todd tried to talk over them, but his voice was drowned out. I called for a vote to remove him. By the end of the night, Todd was gone. Chapter 7. The Final Blow. We hired an independent auditor. They confirmed everything. Over $50,000 stolen, fraud, embezzlement, mismanagement. We took it to the police and filed a civil suit. Todd's buddy got banned from doing business in the county. Todd had to sell his house to pay restitution. His name, now a neighborhood punchline. And the best part? When he tried to join another HOA in the next town, someone Googled him, and he was laughed right out of the meeting. Chapter 8. Life after Todd. With Todd gone, we rewrote the HOA rules, term limits, multiple approvals for expenses, full financial transparency online. Now the pool's open, the landscaping's beautiful, and fees are lower than ever. Sometimes I walk past Todd's old house, now owned by a lovely family, and I smile. Justice wasn't just served. It was plated, garnished, and savored. Some people think revenge is about anger. It's not. It's about restoring balance. Todd thought he could take from us without consequence. Now, the only thing he's in charge of is his own downfall. If that takedown gave you chills, hit that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest, most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And of course, subscribe for more true stories of justice served.